So happy March, by the way.
Thank you.
Beware the Ides of March, but we'll get there.
What does that mean?
It's from Julius Caesar this morning. What is the Ides of March?
Oh yeah, when you got stabbed a billion.
Why was that important? He died. What was interesting about the speech?
Because Brutus Buckeye was stabbed.
Anyone recognize that the speech was like sarcasm?
Yeah.
Brutus was a noble man. He has shown that to us. That's like
I only had like 2 lines in that whole play. I was like,
I like when somebody who's like, "Oh, you're such an upstanding gentleman," like, and they say sarcastically, you're saying one thing, but you're meaning something else.
Mr. Hudson, I only
You
had.
like really read into the like, and the second or third time you go through it, it makes more sense that it's kind of sarcasm.
I only
He
had.
was like, "Hey, I want to speak, or I want to like speak at his funeral." It was kind of like the final. Well, I forget how the saying goes. Like when you turn a knife, it's kind of like, okay, you already stabbed somebody, now you're gonna make it worse. Like, or like insult to injury. That's what.
I only had 2
All right,
lines.
so we want to try an experiment. You guys have been following a lot of directions. I want you to make our directions now. So take a second and write detailed directions that you're going to give to somebody else to draw a certain geometric figure. You can make it as complex or as simple as you want, but they need to draw the shape that you're thinking of and the size that you're thinking of with whatever dimensions are important. So if they don't have enough details, they won't be able to draw it. So think about what kind of shape, how do you describe how they said, like, draw a triangle with an angle and a side, or draw a what? Like, give those details. Do we have parallel sides? Do we have acute angles, obtuse angles, right angles? What's going on in the shape to give those details? Yeah, just write it on your, or I mean, you can get a post-it or something if you don't think you have enough space. You can write it off to the right there. So you should have some kind of statement. Do we have the notes, or do you need to come? Some kind of statement saying, draw a something, width of something, an angle of this, sides of that. Whatever details you need. When you think you're done, trade that off with somebody close to you, have them on a post-it or something, try to draw this figure. So I'll throw some post-its around at random places. Yeah, you're trying to get post-it.
I want a lime green one.
Now you cannot ask questions to the person who wrote the description. Their description is either good enough that you can draw what they meant, or it's not good enough.
These are yes or no questions? I like saying.
Oh, I should have been specific. Keep it to 2D shapes.
Mr. Hudson. Mr. I've recorded a week.
I really was an argument. What?
Yeah.
I'll give you about another minute for this. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you don't draw your own. You trade off with somebody else and see if your details are good enough.
So cut a frame with 5 sides.
So here, try. Let's cover up. Have you shown that to Justin? Okay. Cover this up. Yes. It is pretty much accurate. Both of them are pretty much accurate. But I needed to fix that because Pi Day is coming. Yeah, 2 weeks, guys. In 2 weeks, it will be Pi Day. We will have our Pi Day contest for anyone that chooses to participate.
My friend's birthday's on Pi Day.
Now remember, there's also 8 so you can't just assume.
And Anish can actually speak 100 digits of pi. We did it last year.
All right, let's bring it back together
Draw
here.
a blank within.
Who was having any issues? Abby, whose shape are you trying to draw?
That was the whole point of it.
Hey guys, bring it back in. We want to have you share your knowledge with each other. Who was having issues? Who was struggling? Okay, okay. What caused that? What do you think?
Well, the only thing that's a little confusing is I understand what she wants, but it says draw a parallel line above it, but I don't know how above.
Ooh, so you don't know how far. So there's some scale.
And then it says draw lines in between that are 3 centimeters, but it says that at the end. So I just drew a tiny one right next to it, and then it doesn't fit 3 centimeters.
So what you did doesn't then match other details. So yeah, that might make it fall apart. What other issues were we finding? That, or who had a really effective explanation and who can share that with us? Izzy?
Okay, well there's do I read you the
Sure, yeah.
it says first make a 90-degree angle with 2 inclines or 2 1 inclines. Okay. Make a line connecting them making 2 45-degree angles.
Perfect. So she essentially described the method for an isosceles right triangle. Who else? A good description method that people had the exact shapes that we were talking about. Now I should have been restrictive and said 2D shapes. How many people did 2D shapes automatically? Defaulted to a 2D. How many people did 3D shapes automatically? Kind of interesting brain research sort of thing. 2D versus 3D. Alright, so moving on, check out this example with this jeweler. You are moving up in the world, and you got a job at a jewelry store. Now your boss has left you these instructions. You might need a protractor unless you're really good at approximating angles already. Try to draw the figure that matches what he has left you. I gotta orient this. We have pain today. What kind of pain? I don't know. Kind of like when you hit your funny bone sort of thing. Not detrimental. It's annoying.
Funny for everybody
Oh.
else.
Not funny. Maybe not funny.
Mr. Hudson.
Funny bones for people that are watching. It's funny when somebody hits their funny.
I have recorded a week of whatever the colors of shirts that you've been wearing for a week. And let's just say the colors
It was
are
rainy,
very
so I felt like blue was fitting for today. That frame was 5 sides. We had a pentagon, a 5-sided shape.
Dang it, I thought it was.
The top of the frame where the chain passes through should have a 108-degree angle. The sides that make up the 108-degree angle should be a 1/2 inch each. So the top angle is 108. The 2 sides that make that top angle are 1/2 inch sides. And that's it. That's all the details that we have. So if I start drawing, I'm pretty good at approximating angles. So I would start with a 1/2 inch side because it tells me the sides making up the angle are 1/2 inch. So there's my 1/2 inch side. I'd make another 1/2 inch side with this being a 108-degree angle. So we should all have something like that to start. Whether it's pointed the same way as me or not, a little bit bigger than a right angle. That might be bigger than 108, approximately. Have I met the criteria? What am I missing? I need 5 sides. How do I make my 3rd, 4th, and 5th sides?
You kind of just put 2 parallel lines down there and then a line down.
Okay, so Abby's telling me I can put 2 parallel lines down and then connect them across?
Yeah.
Did he tell me that that's what I needed to do? No, but I mean that makes my 5-sided shape and it meets all my criteria.
It beats everything he told us.
It does, I agree. But could I also, would that meet the criteria that he had told me?
Yeah.
So 5-sided shape, I've got the 108-degree angle and the 1/2 inches. Could that meet my criteria? So what's the issue here?
They're not telling you.
Andrew?
Didn't give you the angles for the other.
Yeah, we need more details. So we need some other angles. Some other angle measures. Sorry, I kind of got crammed there. And really, it'd be nice, it'd make our life easier if we had some other side lengths. Now, if we actually called my boss, or your boss, whoever's boss it is, said, look, man, you didn't give me enough details here. I don't know what I'm doing. He said, oh, I forgot to tell you. All of the sides are 1/2 inch. Okay, well, now we know all of the sides, and we know one angle. Think back to our triangles. If you know all of your sides and an angle, in a triangle, that leaves me only one option. So let's think in a pentagon, a 5-sided shape. So I'd still have the 108-degree angle, 1/2, 1/2. But if these other sides all have to be 1/2 inches, what kind of shape has edges that are all the same? Well, this is going to have 5 sides. A what?
Quadrilateral.
Well, that's 4 sides still.
Well,
Quad means 4. What word comes before the shape name? Like a square is a blank rectangle. Anthony? Okay, so we use that for triangles, but once we go beyond triangles, we actually have a shorter word.
Equal.
This word. It's very easy, actually.
Equal.
Regular.
Oh.
A
That's not
square is a regular rectangle. An equilateral triangle is a regular triangle. Regular means every side or every edge is the same. And what that also means when every edge is the same, every angle is the same.
Whoa.
So this would actually, if he told me then, crap, that's too much of an angle.
Oh, it bounced.
Yeah, because the screen has edges. Then we'd have 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and each of these angles would all be the same. So this gives me, please label this, sorry, regular, not recular, regular pentagon. If all sides the same. Yeah, Andrew.
Can you make something else out of that?
Not if that's the top and all the sides have to be the same. So knowing this angle, and if all the sides are the same, which actually we'll get deeper into this as you guys get to Math 8, but this is the angle size of a regular pentagon. Because when we take all of the angle measures that it's allowed to have and divide by 5, we get 108. So actually, I know that already, but you guys will get there in your mathematical skill set as you go. Andrew?
So, like, if you split two sides, so that would go inwards to the shape.
Then all the sides wouldn't go to be a ½ inch, or are you talking bring these sides up as opposed to down?
Alright, so you know the bottom corner?
Yeah.
Alright, so flip that around. Bring it in.
So like ½ inch in.
Yeah, like that.
What is that?
I forget if that.
Oh,
I think it can work. So we would need to also then say, not just all edges ½ inch, all angles 108. Or what statement could say both of those at the same time? Is if your boss told you it's a regular pentagon. So using the word regular, I love that you pointed that out, is a way to abbreviate what you're trying to say. Regular communicates that all angles are the same, all edges are the same. So here, if I use my blue lines, those angles would not be the same, and it would not be regular. So if it's regular, it's going to be the green shape. I'm going to drag this away as to not confuse people.
Oh, I already did that.
So you got another job, like another task at the jewelry store. You've been asked to create a pigment with a triangle on top of a square. And you are in an argument with another assistant there. One of you thinks sketch A is the way to go. Triangle on top of the square. One of you thinks sketch B is the way to go. Triangle on top of the square. Is either one obviously wrong? On top of can mean on top of or on top of.
Well, none of them are wrong, but none of them are right.
Well, but actually, both of them are according to on top of. They're both right. On top of or on top of. Well, not necessarily depends where you're looking. Can we chill on the pencil? It's just like distracting for me. But it's probably not affecting you, it's distracting me. So, what other details could he provide to determine between A and B? So you and your coworker are arguing. You call your boss, who at this point might be getting annoyed. You say, "We've got 2 different drawings. We need you to break the tie." What could you say to make it, and you can make a choice here, what could you say to make A the right drawing, or what could you say to make B the right drawing? Aiden, what do you think? Which one do you want to choose, A or B? Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about like a pendant that hangs from a necklace. So we're gonna look at it vertically. So I get what you're saying, that if you lay it down and like turn it, it could really end up being below it or beside it. But that could, depending on how we look at it, be on top. So it could still be on top. What other detail could you give to break the top? What else could you say? Izzy, what do you think?
I would say like was on D, right?
Whichever. Whether you want to choose A to be right or B to be right, we just need to give more details.
Okay, I would say that he should have put over
So are you choosing A or B?
Oh, sorry, B.
So you're choosing B. What other details? So you're saying like over top of?
Yeah, like flat on top of.
So flat on top. So still, I could argue that if these are flat and this is on top of,
That would be A.
what could we relate? Like parts of the triangle, parts of the square, edges, or something like that. Keep going, Izzy. What do you think?
Okay, the tip of the triangle is touching the outside of the box.
So we could say actually all vertices, which then I think is spelled T-I-C-I-S. All vertices of the triangle are on edges of the square. Yeah, we could totally say that. All vertices are on edges of the square. That would make option B the right choice. What about to make option A the right choice? What do you think? Option A. What parts could you relate from triangle to square? What parts are together or not together? William and Jeremy say that. So what do you think? What could we say for sketch A to be right? What other details could we specify? So here we said all vertices of the triangle touch our edges. What could we relate for sketch A? Just gonna change color. What parts are together from the triangle and the square? Yeah, so this edge, so that would be what edge of the triangle, what edge of the square? What edge of the triangle, what edge of the square? Here, Grace?
The top edge of the square and the bottom edge of the triangle.
So, there's a connection between or at, or whatever you want to say. Saying at makes this quicker to write. Bottom edge of triangle and top edge of square. There's a connection there that makes that the right choice. So whether you want A to be right or whether you want B to be right, it's all about what extra details do we give. Any questions on that? You got to be able to recognize what details are missing. So this goes back to how we keep talking about what dimension doesn't get preserved. So now this is going to make some of you happy who keep trying to slice and keep three-dimensional shapes. We have a box, and we want to keep it as a box. But we want to make it smaller. So let's say this is, I was able to buy this at the store, but the box that I need to make, say I'm trying to make a gift box or something, needs to be 12 by 8 by 4. I have 4 by 8 by 16. What dimension here, Anthony, what dimension are we not going to keep? So since I need 4 and I have 4, keep it. I need 8 and I have 8, keep it. This 12 is what's going to mess with this 16. So we're going to have to cut through the 16. How would you describe the slice we're going to make? Casey?
Would you cut it to like the box? Would you cut it vertically through the middle? Wait.
So through the middle is not a very specific word.
Through the
So vertically, I know I'm going up, down. Am I going front to back or left to right?
left to right.
So we're going to say cut, please write this with us, cut vertically. If you want to abbreviate vertically, you can. Cut vertically through left and right faces. So that's going to tell me go this way. How far in, or how much do we need to take off, Abby?
4 inches.
4 inches in. And how I'm going to draw it, I'm going to end up saying in from the back. So this distance right here, this is 4 inches in.
And I feel like an approximate.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. I do not ever expect your drawings to be perfect.
Unless you have to full on.
So now we have to determine what size board I need to close that gap where I cut it. So essentially we're saying that rectangle that we made, what will the dimensions of that rectangle be? So Justin, what do you think? What are the dimensions of that rectangle or that board that we need to close that gap? So what about here and here? Concerns that you would want to pass that. What dimension didn't we keep?
Oh, cutting down.
So we cut the 16. So what dimensions did we keep? So that's all we have now for the space that we cut. This has to be 4. This has to be 8. The distance across stays the same. The distance top to bottom stays the same. Any questions on how we did this?
Well, where's the 12 in that?
This now, thank you for asking that. This distance right here will now be 12. Because this distance back here that we cut off was 4. So we chopped off this back portion and then we closed the end of the box. Questions? This is like Discovery Day. It's like planning out, figuring out how you do what you want. We had a student either a year or 2 years ago, he made a coffee table that his family then was using. So he got old wine crate things and turned them sideways and stained them and cut them and did all this cool stuff. They ran charger cords up through it. So sorry, now we're using the same box, but now we want to do a 16 by 6 by 4. So to do 16 by 6 by 4, Reagan, what dimension am I not going to use now? The 8. So this dimension is going to get cut through. I know my slice will be going through the box like that, cutting through the 8. Now we got to decide where to draw it. Well, I'm going to turn 8 into a what? Into a 6, right? So for this to become 6 inches, I got to go 2 inches from one of the sides. It's just as easy to probably draw this right here. So that gap between them would be 2 inches. I run back the top, down the back. Oh, that slice didn't end up. See how my slice looks like it's at an angle?
Yeah.
It's because these two lines aren't parallel. Take a second to look at this. I drew this poorly. I'm going to try again.
Yeah, mine looks like
But when we draw it a little goofed up, it doesn't look right. Our brains perceive that that isn't correct. So if I try this again.
Is it okay to mess up a little bit?
Yeah, it's okay. I just want to show you guys the difference between getting it right. Alright, that's a little bit better. And that resulting cross section. So Michaela, this rectangle that's created, what dimensions will that rectangle have? Sorry, what was that? So what didn't we keep here? What did we start by saying we're not going to keep this dimension? That was on the first time through. This second time we cut this direction, so we actually cut through the 8 because we're coming kind of like out this direction. So if you don't keep the 8, we keep my other 2. So my rectangle is going to have my other 2 dimensions. So that gives us 16 by 4. Because this is still 4 inches tall. This is still 16 inches long.
So the only reason why we don't have the 8 this time is because it got cut.
Yep.
So we
So
only
the 8
use
essentially turned into a 6.
So is it that we only use the ones that have not been cut?
Well, so if I drew the whole new box, then to draw the whole new box, I would need to show that it has a depth or width or whatever you want to say of 6. Then I could draw this also has 6. It's going to look wrong because the whole thing is solid. Like I would need some of these lines to be dotted.
Well, it's showing a 3D.
So that would be 6. This would be 4. This would still be 16. Like if we were trying to draw it 3-dimensional, you don't need to. But we're now going to have 4, 6, and 16. Because I kept the 4, I kept the 16 instead of the 8.
So you're just
I'm
drawing a
using
2D
6.
model, so that's why you didn't
Yeah.
use 6.
So, any questions from the front at all? Depending on how we turn the cut, depends on what cross section is going to look like. Do you just need a pencil? Does your pencil just be like eaten alive? Get this back to me at some point, even if it's the end of the day or whatever. Some pencils do not sharpen well. So, my buddy Randy asked me to correct the fact that I said that he's an architect, and that's a lie. He's actually a draftsman. So, I don't know exactly where the difference is, but he works with architects, but he's technically not an architect. So, draftsmen draw up the designs. They draw out the blueprints. They're the people that sketch at those tables, the giant tables that pivot. You might see these guys like hunched over. They are like mathematical artists in a way. If you're in my Mars class, you've been seeing some of the stuff. But architecture is really interesting. There's a lot of math involved, and there's a lot of creativity involved. So it's a nice blend for some of you people who are creative, but they're good at math. So we're drafting out floor plans for the first, second, and third floors of this building, or layers. They may not be the floors, but these 3 layers that we look at. And we're doing this to figure out how much flooring we need to replace in those sections. So we need to match these up with bottom, middle, and top. So over the side label, we're going to have a bottom, we're going to have a middle, and we're going to have a top.
BMT.
Over here, you're going to even label which of these shows the bottom floor plan, which of these shows the middle floor plan, and which shows the top. If you get done with that, down here, we're going to try to draw the floor plan when I make that vertical slice. So that's what the guide is going to be. So give that a shot, match up floor plans, and try to draw your floor plan. Then what makes the bottom different from the middle? What makes the middle different from the top? What's unique? What carries through all of the layers? So Bella, what's one thing that stands out to you? You can give me an answer if you want, but I just want one thing that stands out. What's unique about one of these buildings compared to the other? One has a top that goes to a point, as opposed to the other 2 just have flat tops. So that's unique to that building. Instead of going up straight, it starts to go to a peak. Brandon, what's another unique thing you noticed here? 2 of them have holes. One's got like a vertical, like an elevator shaft. And this is probably like an atrium, like where they let natural sunlight into the building. They'll build big windows and kind of have tunnels for the light to get through. So one goes to a peak, one's got a vertical tunnel, one's got a horizontal tunnel. You've got a pretty good setup. So Abby, which of these floor plans do you think matches the bottom layer?
I think the one that matches the bottom layer is the top layer.
Say 1, 2, 3.
Because the
So for this bottom layer, so I'm going to clarify my question. Does floor plan 1, 2, or 3 represent that bottom layer?
it would be 2.
It's not.
It would be 1?
So check out over here. We have a big rectangle. Go ahead and trace these on your paper. Here,
Oh.
we have a big rectangle. Here, we have a big rectangle with a rectangle in the middle missing. So this is my bottom layer.
I was so confused. I thought we were.
Xavier? Sure.
So one is the middle.
How do you know that one's the middle?
Because I noticed those two lines just together.
These?
Yeah, those two little layers.
So those two lines are right beside that atrium window. That's essentially the flooring beside that pass-through area. And then it's the same in all three of them. The floor plan with the elevator going through the middle. And then this is just solid.
The top just looks like a balcony.
Now the top floor, what was unique about the top compared to the middle floor plans? Yeah, the pyramid part gives you a smaller rectangle. So the size of this rectangle being small right here should have been an indicator. Any questions on how we match these up? Looking at advantage or perspective? Try on the next one. If you looked vertically at a cross section, so you want to be able to draw all the way from top to bottom for each of these. So you get some region, some plane that we can draw rectangularly. What would we see from the left building? What would we see from the middle building? What would we see from the right building? It's already kind of shown to you in those little purple darker lines. Well, what is that going to look like as a 2D drawing? Aiden, you have any desire to come up and draw? Yeah.
That's fine.
I would make a minor tweak. This is like perfect. The only thing I would change, you have a little bit of width here and a little bit of width here. Because you have this space and this space. Those are like the next to the elevator shaft. Right? Because the shaft doesn't take the whole building, there's a little bit of space to the left and right. But that is awesome. So we would have a building with a triangle on top, rectangle on bottom, big rectangle with a smaller rectangle missing, and two skinny rectangles beside your elevator shaft. Any questions on how Hayden figured that out? Awesome. Try. Excuse me. You have another shot, especially if you goofed up the first one. Try to match up these floor plans with those buildings. They're labeled top, middle, and bottom. trying to figure out the bottom floor plan, bottom cross section. Which one of those matches? Option 1, 2, or 3? Close. For the bottom layer. So, let me pause and ask you this. Has anyone ever been through the Moo Moo car wash?
Yeah.
You guys are excited. I don't know why. So, that middle building there, to me, reminds me of the Moo Moo car wash. It has what appears to be a drive-through tunnel. So, at the bottom layer, it's not that there's no building, it's that there's a left part of the building and a right part of the building as I drive through the middle. So, this has no middle building. Can't be the bottom layer. You gotta have some building there. This is your bottom layer with your car wash, or whatever you want to call it, going straight through the middle. Casey? Which one is layer 2? Or change the question around to whatever you want.
Layer 2 is the top.
Is the top, because my car wash is short, there is no car wash when I get to the top layer. And obviously all we have left is middle, because as this peak goes up, this is actually where we get building.
And then it gets
so there's like edge of the building and then inner edge of the building. So that one's kind of a little bit weird. We are out of time. Sorry, I can't make you guys late. So this was the end of the chapter. If people have their homework done, we'll probably play a review game tomorrow. If not, then there's no point in playing a review game. So encourage your classmates, help them, get your homeworks completed, please. There's not. This is the end of the chapter. Oh. Have a great day, guys.